Back at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, where the field is rolling out for the start of today's 400-lap race on this .625-mile racetrack. Earnhardt wins the first Union 400 at North Wilkesboro.
North Wilkesboro's been around for 70 years, so a very long time. It's built in a field on a hill, so you go downhill down the front straightaway, you go uphill down the backstretch. That was always one of the kind of unique characteristics about the track, is it wasn't level. And the last race here, I believe, is in 1996 in the Cup Series, and the track's kind of been dormant for the most part since then. There's been a lot of people that have kind of documented the decay of the racetrack over the years and what shape it's been in. Well, obviously my connection to the track's through my father. I came here and watched him run a lot of races. This was one of the racetracks close to the house, about 40 minutes away, so we never missed this race. Saw a lot of races here, even when he won in the black Monte Carlo on the radial tire for the first time. I remember coming up this lift behind me up on top of the building. They had moved Victory Lane up on top of this building right here, and that was just a really cool feature. And I remember running around in the driver's lounge, which is on the other side of this building, having access to that and hanging out with my friends. And you know, we really were all over this racetrack, to be honest with you. At some point in time during the weekend, we never sat still. You know, I loved coming here and watching races here. I actually came and ran a late model race here in 1994. We came out and attempted to make the race twice, so had some laps here around here personally, but my best memories, my favorite memories are watching my dad race here. We came out here to, basically iRacing can scan and make a perfect replica of any racetrack in the world. We are cleaning the track surface so that we can scan the speedway for iRacing.
Are you ready to do some weeding?
I am. Let's do it. Looks like a lot to be done.
There is.
It's a little cold and chilly. It's more like weather up from where we're from, but it's been a fun day so far of weeding. So I started at iRacing in 2004. I was pretty much the first employee. But previous to that, we were a company called Papyrus Racing Games. And so we've been making NASCAR racing sims since the 90s. And so we basically hired the development staff of Papyrus, and we built the company up from there with the idea of creating the most authentic racing simulation we could, but then also creating the virtual sport of sim racing.
It is probably the most advanced software for scanning a facility and be able to make the track exactly to the specifications as it is in real life. There's nothing comparable.
Anything that's sticking up out of the cracks, we want to try to get rid of, because in that way, when we come and do the scanner, we're capturing the actual surface and not nothing growing out of the track. So that, because what we're gonna have to massage the data a little bit with this, because obviously this wasn't how they raced the track with all this damage to the track. So there's going to be a little bit of a smoothing that we have to do. So we need to make sure that all of the grass and weeds and everything is off the track, so that at least we have the clean asphalt surface.
I was actually on a plane flying to Vegas with Marcus Smith, who owns the racetrack. I said, man, there's only one way that I can think of to sort of pay some respects to its past and its history and how important it is to our sport. And that was to try to have it incorporated into the iRacing software. He said, yeah, I'll do it, let's do it. It's gonna need a lot of work. I don't know if we can get it all cleaned up enough for it to be scanned. And I said, well, let me reach out to Steve Myers. So I text Steve Myers right there on the plane, and he said, boy, I don't know, that'll take a lot of work. And so I sent out a tweet, and I said to anybody out on Twitter, I said, if we can clean up this racetrack, iRacing will scan it. So Steve, kind of pushed him back in the corner to twist his arm a little bit to get him to agree to scanning the track. And I told him, I said, there's not a lot of opportunities to really go back in the past and recreate something to specs. And this is a rare chance for us to do that. A lot of the tracks that are part of NASCAR history are no longer around, not in such shape. This is such a unique, rare opportunity that we just couldn't pass up.
What's really cool about this track is the history and the fact that it's not a current track anymore. And I think this is an interesting project for us because we typically are doing, FIA grade racetracks that, are meticulously maintained, and there's no cracks in pavement, there's no overgrowth at all, and so this is a really unique situation.
It won't be here much longer as it continues to decay. If we can take just a scan of the surface, the walls, we can go back to whenever we want and recreate the racetrack as it was in any year, and it'll be there forever and for us to enjoy. Laser.
It's very time consuming. What we'll do is we'll take a laser scanner, we mount it on a tripod, and it's about 10 feet in the air. It takes about 45 minutes to do a complete scan, and it'll get about 400 feet of surface, but then it'll also shoot up in the air, so it'll grab all of the scoring pylons and the stands and the buildings, and so we'll get a general reference point for all of the objects around the track. So the center of the scanner is in the middle, and then there'll be targets on each side of the scanner. And so the scanner acquires those targets, and that's kind of how it figures out its place in the world. And so once we complete a scan, we'll take the back targets and we'll move them to the next location in front of the two existing targets, move the scanner into the middle, reacquire the targets that we just shot previously, and then the new targets on the other side. And that's how we're able to stitch all the scan locations together, as we always have. We maintain 2 points of reference that were used in both scans. This will probably take, I'm gonna guess 2 or 3 days to completely scan.
So the importance of the whole track day cleaning was to remove the overgrowth in the seams of the track and all the cracks. What the scanner does is it picks up the profile of the track with all those points, the data points, and that's how we build the track. And then it also applies that to build a 3D mesh, or what we call a bump map surface of the racetrack. So you're actually driving on the real surface. If you were to drive over just a piece of grass sticking straight up, in real life you could just push it over, move it out of the way, but the sim interprets it as just like a solid structure. The grass acts almost like concrete, so that's why we had to have it cleaned before we could go ahead and scan it.
We'll take probably 3,000 photographs here over the next 2 or 3 days just to capture all the buildings and the textures and all the cool artwork. 1987, I think, is the year that we're going to pick to try to recreate. So it's going to be a lot of work to go back and kind of find photographs. It's going to be an interesting project for us.
When we recreate a racetrack in iRacing, we need to photograph and scan every object that's at the track, because we need to be able to turn those objects into 3D models. So we'll use the scan and the photo to do that. So we'll photograph everything at the track, including the track itself, the walls, the fencing, all the buildings, all the objects, and for example, this scoring pylon here. And we'll take that data along with the scan files and send it to our artists, and they'll be able to recreate it. Usually we recreate racetracks as they are when we visit the racetrack. As we can see today, the condition is not what it was in 1987. So this will be a bit of a research project as well. But we're looking forward to it, and we're looking forward to recreating that era of motorsports in NASCAR. It's going to be amazing.
It's unique, it's different. It's not something we get to do every day. It's going to have its challenges for us to build, but it's so neat to come out here and look and see everything in its current state and what happened here in the past, and that we get to bring it back to life again virtually.
It's going to be neat to see it recreated, even if it's in a virtual world, you know, so I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's important, so that's why we're here.
We had a lot of people come out today to help us clean the surface of the racetrack. I think everybody enjoyed being able to just be here and take a look at the place. You know, they didn't mind getting their hands dirty and working a little bit, but I think they also enjoyed just getting a chance to come by and see it and say hello.
Yeah, that pile there is from last week. Oh man, that is a ton. Yeah. We had it easy.
You know, Sonny and the Charlotte Motor Speedway and Bristol Motor Speedway grounds crew guys have done most of the work, and we've come in here and got the glory for finishing it off. But I mean, they put a ton of effort into getting this surface clean, and now, I mean, you could put a car out there right now. It looks so good.
We're preserving the racetrack, we're keeping its history alive and all that, but it's to be able to give something to the community. The iRacing community has been a big part of my life for many, many years. A lot of people that work at Junior Motorsports I met through iRacing and Racing Online and sim racing. And so it's had such a huge effect and positive effect on my life. And this is a way for me or us to do something for the community.
Dale is probably our biggest fan, and what's interesting is I don't think people really understand how long he's been involved in trying to evolve sim racing. And my first day at work at Papyrus, I joined a multiplayer. Like we had these testing sessions where we would go and we'd race the tracks and try to find the bugs. And Dale was on the grid, like next to me, and like he's been involved since Papyrus in trying to help us collect data. And whenever we need something, he's always the first one to pick up the phone. The fact that, you know, all these people showed up here today to kind of help us, you know, clean up this track to do this, it's just a testament to him and how passionate he is about sim racing and how he wants to recreate this track and save it, because, you know, this will never see another race in the real world. So now people are going to get a chance to come into the virtual world and race this track forever.
It'll be as close to real life as you could possibly get. So it's going to take a lot of people back in time. It's going to introduce a lot of people for the first time to the North Wilkesboro Speedway and its history. So this is just a really fun opportunity to be able to hop in my sim rig and run a few laps and relive some old history.
All right, everybody. That's the video. And yeah, let me see what's going on there. My camera. But anyhow, I yeah, we really enjoyed putting that together, and I hope everybody kind of enjoyed watching that. It was well done, and Dirty Mo Media put that together. That's Mike Davis. We got a big crew actually that helped kind of put that together. But first off, I think one thing, the one person I know that we give ourselves a lot of credit for being able to, create this track. The one person that had to give us the opportunity to go do this is Marcus Smith and all his team. And I talked about that conversation I had with him to scan this track. And I mean, he not only allowed us to have access to the racetrack itself, but he also um, he also was there to help us clean it up. So pretty cool. And he's just such a great guy. Just do anything for me, and all he's just a great guy. Obviously, Steve Myers has to be willing to do the deal and take this. He's got to go back to iRacing and convince the company to invest in scanning the track, and for them to develop a racetrack. And I don't want to put words in Steve's mouth, but it's very expensive for them to scan the track, and each track that they create, they're taking on some risk. Obviously, we expect North Wilkesboro to pay for itself and for all that to work out really well, but it wasn't just an easy decision on his part. He had to go back and do the numbers, but um, and could we do it, right? We hadn't really got a chance to really look at the track surface and see if the surface was in such bad shape that maybe because the scanner uh, is going to scan the surface, and they expect that surface to go right into the sim and be raceable, and this wasn't a raceable surface. There were the top groove was sagging down and sliding down the banking, and it was creating these kind of ripples, kind of peaks in the racetrack in certain places, and they had to massage some of that stuff out when they were designing the track in iRacing. So luckily for us, the track is in decent enough shape, and we actually are going to race on the track on Fox this Saturday. So I think at 3 p.m. this Saturday, the race is on Fox Sports 1. I don't know if it's on the big Fox or not, but anyhow, the Pro Invitational, you guys probably been watching some of that stuff on Sundays. Well, it's this Saturday. This is the last one before we go back to real racing at Darlington. So we're going to race at North Wilkesboro, and that's you saw some of the pictures in the race of the racetrack in this video. You're also going to be able to get to see the track, and how it races and how we look out there, I guess, during the race on Saturday. And I plan on streaming that. I'm going to keep tuning on this camera and improving that. That's not very good, but outside of Marcus, our editor James Brosan, he did a great job on this piece here. Dirty Mo Media. We were working all day today on our Lost Speedway show that we have coming out on Peacock, the streaming NBC stuff. We just kind of finished up some of the last pieces for that show. But Dirty Mo Media, we create Lost Speedways, we create content like this, we create our podcasts, my streaming channels underneath that umbrella. So if you're not following Dirty Mo Media, go check out Dirty Mo Media. We got a great YouTube page as well, a lot of great content on there. And Lost Speedway is a TV show where we go, me and Matthew Dillner and a few people go, and we're going to these old abandoned racetracks and learning about them and learning their stories, and also just kind of exploring the grounds and trying to see what we can find. And we have 8 episodes of that coming out, so it's going to be pretty awesome to see how you guys react to that. I think the show is going to be pretty exciting. You can watch this video again at our Dirty Mo Media YouTube page. It'll live on this Twitch channel for a while, but this will be at Dirty Mo Media's YouTube page if you want to go there. And you know, that's about all the information I got for you guys. So the chat's flying; it's going really fast. But if y'all can stand to look at this this rough camera shot and background, we can do some questions. So I'll see if I can get this this a little bit better for you guys. So I'll just turn that off right there. So if the chat's got any questions,